before kingdoms rose beneath the heavens, before humanity carved laws into stone, before the winds carried the prayers of civilizations, there was the air, invisible, unseen, yet powerful enough to shape the entire world. Ancient Mesopotamians believed that force had a goddess behind it. Her name was Ninlil, also known as Sud or Moliltu, the Lady of the Air, the Queen of the Breeze. But Ninlil was not simply a goddess of wind. She represented something far deeper, the hidden power that moves life itself. Because unlike storms that announce their arrival with violence, the breeze arrives quietly. Yet over time, it reshapes landscapes, guides seasons, carries life across the earth, and Ninlil embodied that same energy, subtle, nurturing, powerful. Ancient Mesopotamian mythology often remembers her as the consort of Enlil, the mighty god of wind, storms, and divine authority. But reducing Ninlil to merely the wife of Enlil misses something important, because Ninlil was not passive. She was a queen, an active divine force tied directly to destiny itself. And in many ways, she represented balance to Enlil's overwhelming intensity, where Enlil symbolized raw authority and the force of nature. Ninlil symbolized refinement, order, the nurturing intelligence hidden within creation. She became associated with grain, fertility, the sustaining forces that allow civilization to survive. Because no kingdom survives through war alone. No empire exists without nourishment, without harvest, without the unseen labor that sustains life quietly in the background. And this symbolism made Ninlil incredibly important, because while kings often worshipped gods of conquest and dominance, ordinary humanity depended on forces like Ninlil to survive. The growth of crops, the movement of seasons, the rhythms of life carried through nature itself. She represented the sacred balance between gentleness and strength, and that duality made her powerful. Because people often mistake nurturing energy for weakness. Ancient mythology did not. Ninlil was nurturing, but formidable. Calm, but deeply connected to fate itself. And fate was one of the greatest powers imaginable. To influence destiny was to influence existence. Ancient Mesopotamians believed the gods themselves shaped the paths of humanity. Kings rose because destiny allowed it. Cities prospered because divine order remained intact. And when that balance collapsed, civilizations suffered. Ninlil stood within that cosmic structure as a force maintaining harmony, not through domination, but through continuity. The continuation of life, the continuation of order, the continuation of humanity itself. And perhaps that is why her energy feels so ancient and timeless, because humanity still depends on invisible forces. Air, nature, beats, things often ignored until they disappear. People rarely notice the wind until it becomes violent, rarely appreciate peace until chaos arrives. Ninlil represents that quiet importance, the unseen foundations holding life together. And this becomes even more fascinating when we explore her relationship with Enlil. Together, they represented complementary cosmic energies, power and nurture, authority and balance, storm and breeze, one force overwhelming, the other sustaining. And ancient mythology understood something modern society often forgets. True power is incomplete without balance. Unchecked force destroys itself. Authority without wisdom becomes tyranny. Strength without nurture becomes emptiness. Ninlil's presence softened the harsher aspects of divine authority, not through weakness, but through stabilization, like air itself, invisible, yet essential. And perhaps that is why she became associated with queenship and divine femininity, not merely beauty, not passive devotion, but active influence, the ability to shape outcomes quietly, to guide destiny without needing domination. And that symbolism still resonates deeply today, because some of the strongest forces in human life are invisible. Influence, emotion, atmosphere, presence. The ability to calm chaos without announcing power loudly. Ninlil embodies that energy completely. She is not the loudest goddess in mythology, not the most violent, not the most feared, but she is foundational, like breath, like wind, like the invisible movement keeping the world alive. And perhaps that is why ancient civilizations respected her so deeply, because they understood that survival itself depended on harmony with nature. The crops had to grow, the air had to move, the balance had to remain intact. Without it, civilization collapses. Ninlil became the divine representation of that sacred balance, a reminder that true strength is not always explosive. Sometimes true strength sustains life quietly. Sometimes it nurtures, guides, protects, without demanding recognition. And in many ways, that makes her one of the most powerful figures within the Anunnaki itself. Because while other gods ruled through fear, Ninlil ruled through continuity, the continuation of breath, harvest, order, destiny. In the end, Ninlil is not simply a goddess of air. She is the invisible force behind harmony itself, the quiet presence sustaining life while louder powers battle for dominance. A reminder that not all power arrives like a storm. Sometimes, the most important forces in existence move like the wind, unseen, yet shaping the entire world around them. The question is, have you mistaken quiet power for weakness